Why do women test men in ways that seem completely unfair and confusing? I'm about to reveal the real reason behind these tests, but first you need to understand something that most men get dangerously wrong. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to pass every single test she throws at you. But here's the thing, if you miss even one part of what I'm about to tell you, everything else becomes useless. You're probably thinking about that moment when she said one thing but clearly meant another, or when she created a situation that felt like a trap you were destined to fail. But there's a psychological reason she does this that has nothing to do with manipulation. And once you understand this reason, you'll see these tests completely differently. Here's what's really happening. From the moment women are young, they learn that the world can be dangerous for them. They discover that men who seem charming and confident on the surface can turn controlling, dismissive, or even dangerous once they feel secure. So they develop these unconscious screening mechanisms. But here's the part that will blow your mind, and you absolutely cannot miss this. She's not testing you to hurt you. She's testing you because she needs to know if you're worth her vulnerability. But most men completely misunderstand what these tests are actually measuring. They think it's about proving how much they love her, how much they'll sacrifice, or how perfectly they can meet her demands. This is where everything goes wrong. The men who think this way turn themselves into pretzel-shaped people-pleasers, jumping through hoops and walking on eggshells. But this approach doesn't just fail the test, it fails spectacularly, and it pushes her away faster than almost anything else you could do. But why does this happen? The answer will change how you see relationships forever. The real test isn't about your willingness to submit. It's about your ability to maintain your center while still being genuinely caring. She's testing whether you're a man who knows his own worth, who can be kind without being weak, who can be flexible without being spineless. But there's something even more important she's testing for, and if you don't understand this, you'll keep failing every time. She's testing whether you'll abandon yourself to keep her happy, because if you will, she knows you'll eventually resent her for it. Think about that for a second. The very thing most men think will make her happy is actually what makes her lose respect for them. But I'm going to show you exactly what to do instead, and it's the complete opposite of what you think. Let me give you a real example that will make everything clear. She says she's fine with you going out with your friends, but then she gets quiet and distant when you actually make plans. Most men either cancel their plans to make her happy or they go out, but spend the whole time feeling guilty and checking their phone. Both responses fail the test. But here's the response that passes every time. You acknowledge her feelings without taking responsibility for them. You might say something like, "I can see you're not thrilled about tonight, and I get that. I'm still going because I committed to my friends, but let's talk about what's really bothering you when I get back." Then you go out, you're present with your friends, and you follow through on the conversation later. But why does this work when everything else fails? This response demonstrates multiple things at once. It shows you care about her feelings without being controlled by them. It shows you keep your commitments and maintain your social connections. It shows you're willing to have difficult conversations instead of just avoiding conflict. And most importantly, it shows you won't sacrifice your identity to keep peace. But there's another type of test that trips up even more men. She brings up other men. She might mention how her coworker is so thoughtful, or how her ex used to do this romantic thing, or how attractive some actor is. The insecure response is to get jealous, defensive, or to immediately start competing with these other men. The people-pleaser response is to start copying what these other men did. Both responses miss the point entirely. And here's why. She's not telling you about other men because she wants you to be like them. She's testing whether you're secure enough in yourself that other men don't threaten you. She's checking if you'll stay grounded in your own value instead of getting swept up in comparison and competition. But the confident response will surprise you. You stay curious instead of defensive. You might say something like, "Sounds like he made quite an impression on you," without any edge or sarcasm in your voice. You're not dismissing her experience, but you're also not scrambling to prove you're better than some other guy. You're demonstrating that you're secure enough to hear about other people without it shaking your foundation. But understanding individual tests isn't enough. There's a deeper truth about these tests that most men never figure out. They're not really about the specific situations. They're about your overall emotional maturity and self-respect. She's testing whether you have a strong enough sense of self that you can be in relationship without losing yourself. But there's one more thing she's testing that's even more crucial. She's testing whether you can handle her emotions without trying to fix them or control them. She's testing whether you can be present and caring without being needy or desperate. The men who consistently fail these tests are the ones who think love means sacrifice, who think being a good partner means having no boundaries. But this creates the opposite of what they want. Instead of feeling loved and secure, she feels burdened by their neediness and frustrated by their lack of backbone. The men who pass these tests understand something completely different. They understand that love isn't about losing yourself. It's about being so secure in who you are that you can be genuinely present for someone else. But knowing this isn't enough if you don't know how to apply it. Think about the most attractive men you know, the ones who seem to effortlessly draw women to them. They're not the ones who agree with everything, who never have opinions, who bend over backward to avoid any conflict. They're the ones who are genuinely themselves, who have their own interests and opinions, who can be kind and caring while still maintaining their own identity. But what makes them different? This is what she's really testing for. She wants to know if you're going to be a partner or a project. She wants to know if you're going to enhance her life or drain her energy. She wants to know if you're going to be a man she can respect and desire, or if you're going to turn into another responsibility she has to manage. But here's how you pass these tests consistently. First, you develop a strong sense of your own worth that doesn't depend on her approval. You know what you bring to the table, and you don't need constant validation to feel good about yourself. But self-worth alone isn't enough. You also need to learn to care about her feelings without being controlled by them. You can be empathetic and supportive while still maintaining your own emotional equilibrium. Third, you keep your own life interesting and fulfilling. You have hobbies, friendships, goals, and interests that exist independently of the relationship. You're not trying to make her your whole world because you understand that's not attractive or healthy. But the fourth principle ties everything together. You communicate directly and honestly. You don't try to read her mind or expect her to read yours. You say what you mean and mean what you say. But here's the beautiful irony that changes everything. When you stop trying so hard to pass her tests, you start passing them naturally. When you focus on being the best version of yourself instead of being what you think she wants, you become the kind of man she actually wants to be with. When you stop being afraid of her disapproval, you become worthy of her respect. But remember this crucial point. She's not testing you to be cruel or manipulative. She's testing you because she's trying to figure out if you're the kind of man she can trust with her heart, her body, and her future. She's trying to determine if you're going to be a source of strength and stability in her life, or if you're going to be another person who needs her to take care of them. So the next time you feel like you're being tested, take a deep breath and remember what's really happening. She's giving you an opportunity to show her who you really are. Don't waste it by trying to be who you think she wants. Be who you actually are. And if that's not enough for her, then she wasn't the right person for you anyway. But if you're genuinely working on becoming the best version of yourself, if you're developing real confidence and emotional maturity, then these tests become opportunities to demonstrate your worth rather than traps you're destined to fail. And that's the difference between men who struggle in relationships and men who thrive in them.